Hello, my name is Lasha, and today we will be learning TOEFL listening skills with you. And the last week, we covered first three types of questions in the listening exam. Today we will do the rest, skill number 4, 5, and 6. And today we will finish the listening module of TOEFL exam. Okay, so let's have a look what we learned last lesson. We learned question type number 1, which is about understanding the main idea of the passage. Also, we learned question type number 2. It's about understanding the details of the listening passage. And we covered question number 3, understanding the function of the conversation. If you have not watched these videos, I recommend you to watch it. It was last Saturday, listening skills number 1 for TOEFL exam. So today our topic will be listening questions 4, 5, and 6. Okay, if we have time, maybe we can do one test as well for all types of questions. As for the lesson structure, I will explain all these three types of questions one by one. I will tell you what you need to pay attention, what kind of questions there are in each of them, and then we will do some listening exercises together. And as I've said, if we have time, we will also do one test which covers all 6 types of questions. Okay, let's see if everything is going well on YouTube and Facebook. Let me check so I will be able to see your comments. Yep, we are live on YouTube. Very good. Everything is fine. And let me check Facebook as well. Yep, we are live on Facebook. Good. So guys, question type number 4 is about understanding the attitude of the speaker. Let me write it for you. Now, when we are talking about attitude, probably you should understand that attitude, it is like a feeling, the opinion of the person. When we are talking about this also, you need to pay attention to one thing. You can understand the attitude of the person, of course, with words. You need to pay attention to words, sure. But at the same time, the intonation, the tone of the person, the pitch of the person is very important. And also some exclamations. For example, this gives me some information about the person's attitude, or aha, or maybe all these kind of exclamations give me something, and let's write expressions. So they express their emotions and their attitude sometimes with exclamation, not only with words or tones. I hope you understand me, yeah? For these type of questions, they will repeat part of the conversation and then ask you to answer the question. Okay, so they will repeat a little part of the whole conversation, then they will ask you the question. Do you have any questions, guys? Or can we start with exercise and maybe we can do it more practically and you will understand exactly what I'm talking about? I don't see any questions, so I guess we can listen to the file and then I will show you the questions. Okay. Hi Ece, good to see you.
Listening exercise 4, passage 1, page 181, questions 1 and 2.
Guys, how is the volume? Can you hear well or do I need to change something? Good, good, good. Then we can start and hello to Aina as well.
Four, passage 1, page 181, questions 1 and 2. Listen to a conversation between an advisor and a student.
I'd like to talk with you about the number of courses you'll be taking next semester.
I was planning on taking 5 courses again next semester.
So would you mind telling me why you've been taking 5 courses every semester?
Well, since I'm planning on going to graduate school, I'd like to finish my undergraduate degree as soon as possible, and I was hoping to save money, too.
I understand that every semester is expensive, and I sympathize. I honestly do. But here's the thing, Alyssa. The problem is that your grades are passable, but not very high, and you'll need higher grades to get into a good graduate school.
Okay, so what you mean is that it's better to do well in 4 classes than only average in 5.
Absolutely.
But there's still the problem of the cost of the last semester. I know it probably doesn't seem like much money compared to the cost of 4 years, but it's really tough for me to get that money together every semester, and one less.
No, Alyssa. I really mean it when I say I sympathize. Even one semester is a lot of money, there's no question about it. But listen, I think that spreading your studies out through that final semester will actually end up saving you money and help you get into grad school.
Taking the last semester will save me money? How would that work?
Okay, so if you have more time, if you take fewer credit hours, you'll have more time for each class. You're obviously a hard worker and ambitious, so you'll probably get better grades, right?
I would hope so. Well, no, I know I would.
If you have better grades and more time, you'll be able to apply for fellowships, which can pay for more of your grad school. You'll also be able to do a better job of finding the perfect school and lining up internships, which could also earn you money.
Okay, I'm beginning to understand what you mean, but there isn't any guarantee that I'll get one of the fellowships.
Okay, that's true. But even if you don't, and I don't see any reason why you can't if you feel passionate about what you want to study and do well, but even if you don't get more financial aid, you're still probably going to save money by being able to choose your school more carefully. With better grades, you will have more choices and can look at the different tuition requirements.
All right, I see your point.
But there's something else. Frankly, more important than the money, or even the grades.
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know exactly how hard it is for you to get together the money for a semester of college, so in the end, the final decision is yours to make. The biggest reason, though, for not piling on classes is the possibility of getting to know the professors and their research. If you spend all of your time rushing through your studies here, it's going to be hard to really get to know your professors very well. Part of the key to getting into graduate school at all is having demonstrated a serious interest in research. And the best way to do that is to get to know some of your professors and what they're doing.
I assume you mean in the smaller classes, because right now...
It doesn't matter. Yes, it will be easier to develop a relationship with a professor in your smaller upper division classes, but you can go to office hours, you can start to check out the research that the professors in your field are doing, and maybe arrange an appointment to learn more. Ask about summer internships.
Okay, so you're telling me that I've been doing all the wrong things to get into grad school?
Actually, if you decide to do as I've suggested, this is going to work to your advantage. Right now, the grades in your basic courses are not that great, and you do have some flexibility as far as credit hours. But your grades are suddenly going to get better, and you're going to start to discover the direction you want your research to take. Whether you end up with a fellowship or not, graduate schools will love that you know where you are going.
Well, when you put it that way, I feel better about it.
Okay, guys, so now we listen to full conversation. Now I will play a file where they repeat parts of the conversation and show you the questions at the same time.
Number 1. Listen again to part of the discussion, then answer the question.
No, Alyssa. I really mean it when I say I sympathize. Even one semester is a lot of money, there's no question about it. But listen, I think that spreading your studies out through that final semester will actually end up saving you money and help you get into grad school.
What is the advisor's attitude toward the student's original plan?
So guys, do you understand the question? What is the advisor's attitude toward the student's original plan? Answer A says he agrees that it will save her money in the end. Answer B says he believes it will make it impossible for her to be admitted to graduate school. C, he thinks that there is a better way for her to achieve her goals. Or D, he does not feel that money should be a factor in her decision. Maybe we can go over each question one by one. A says he agrees that it will save her money in the end. Is this answer correct or incorrect? If incorrect, why incorrect? I see some possible answers from students and they think C. Okay, let's go until C. Answer A is incorrect because the professor does not agree with Melinda's original plan. This part is correct. It will save money in the end, but he agrees. This part is incorrect. So because of agree, this is not correct answer. B says he believes it will make it impossible for her to be admitted at graduate school. Of course, no. Totally the opposite. Teacher says that it will be easier for her. With his new plan, this one does not mean that with original plan it is impossible. When someone says this is better, it doesn't mean other one is impossible. Okay, so impossible here is incorrect answer. Alican, Ece and PTR think C is correct answer. Aina also thinks C. Let's read. He thinks that there is a better way for her to achieve her goals. It sounds very good. This can be correct answer. Let's check possible answer D as well. He does not feel that money should be a factor in her decision. This is not correct because Professor says, I do sympathize, blah, blah, blah. And also he says, I understand that money is important even for one semester. So he understands that money is important. So does not feel incorrect here. Therefore, our correct answer is, of course, C. Good job, Alican, Ece, PTR, and Aina. You have correct answers. Let me delete these ones. And now let's see question number 2.
Number 2. Listen again to part of the discussion. Then answer the question.
Okay, so you're telling me that I've been doing all the wrong things to get into grad school.
Actually, if you decide to do as I've suggested, this is going to work to your advantage. Right now, the grades in your basic courses are not that great, and you do have some flexibility as far as credit hours. But your grades are suddenly going to get better, and you're going to start to discover the direction you want your research to take. Whether you end up with a fellowship or not, graduate schools will love that you know where you are going.
What does the advisor seem to feel will be the impression the student will make on graduate schools if she follows his advice?
Answer A says he believes her low grades will not leave a bad impression if she does more research. B, he believes she will look like a better candidate if she gets a fellowship. C, he feels this plan will allow her to make a more favorable impression. Or D, he thinks getting good grades will be more impressive than taking part in research. What do you think about this one, guys? Which one is correct answer? A, B, C, or D? Again, let's discuss all of them. Again, let's discuss all of the possible answers. A says he believes her low grades will not leave a bad impression if she does more research. The professor said your grades are not that much great, so it means grades are low, and definitely he does not believe this. A is incorrect. B says he believes she will look like a better candidate if she gets a fellowship. Of course, they talked about fellowship a lot, and the professor says it will be good to get scholarship, but also he said, whether you end up with a fellowship or not. So, if you get a scholarship or not, still blah, 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 blah. So, being a better candidate and getting a fellowship are related to each other, but not that much. Answer C, he feels this plan will allow her to make a more favorable impression. Sounds good to me so far. And D, he thinks getting good grades will be more impressive than taking part in research. This is incorrect because he also advises students to take part in research because he says it is very important for your admission to the graduate schools because they want to know where your research is going, and if you take part in different research and learn the professor's researches, you will be able to have a clear vision and better understanding of your research. So, thank you, Ece and Aina. C sounds like a very good answer. Good job, girls. I think we can do one more exercise like this. We will listen to one conversation again, full conversation. Then I will play file with questions and answer 2 more questions. Let's play another conversation.
Passage 2, page 181. Questions 3 and 4. Listen to a conversation between a professor and a student.
Hello, Professor Lang. I wanted to talk to you about the assignment you gave us in psychology class. I think it's going to be very interesting.
Interesting? Well, yes, but it's also going to be a lot of work.
Really? I mean, what's so hard about it? I thought we just have to make up a survey questionnaire related to theories from the class.
It's not that designing a survey questionnaire is so difficult, Brett, and I've already provided you with sample questions and some tips to ensure that it's accurate and fair. But you do realize that you and your partner will have to find 50 people to fill out the questionnaire and then write up a report analyzing the data.
Well, I think it won't be that much of a problem to find 50 people to fill out the questionnaire, will it? I mean, we could do that in one afternoon at the student centre. That actually kind of sounds like fun to me.
You think so? Well, based on feedback from other students in my previous classes, getting 50 students to answer the questionnaire wasn't such a breeze when they tried that.
I have actually seen students filling in surveys at the centre, and I think I'm fairly good at persuading people.
Well, you might get some students to fill out the surveys, but I'm guessing there would be more than a few who won't be happy about you taking up their precious time.
Maybe you're right. Still, the survey really isn't going to take very long, so it's not like we're taking up a bunch of people's time, and most of the people at the student centre aren't rushing someplace. Well, a lot of them aren't in a hurry anyway. Besides, Professor, a lot of the students have to take a psychology class to graduate, and most of those classes do require giving out surveys. I think people will sympathise and help us out.
You seem pretty confident that you can recruit students, but I definitely think you need a backup plan.
OK then, what do you suggest, Professor?
I think you should get out into the community. Maybe this will sound strange to you. Retirement homes or senior citizen centres, for example, have actually been successful locations for my students in the past. The older folks living there appreciate getting a visit from younger students and do tend to have some time on their hands. You need to ask the management first, though, for permission, but they usually welcome students.
I don't know that I'd feel comfortable with that, or if I could get my partner to agree to do it.
Come on, Brett, don't be so negative. You should try it. You might be surprised about how rewarding it can be, and you might get some unusual and interesting results from the survey. At least more variety than just student responses.
Fair enough. I'm not looking forward to it, and I think it's going to go a lot less smoothly than you do, but I'll try to look on the bright side.
Guys, did you understand the listening? Is everything clear? Actually, you are lucky with these type of questions because even if you don't understand the whole conversation, they repeat the part. So even with the repeated part, you can find the answer, correct answer. So for these kind of questions, you are okay, I guess. Now let's listen to repeated part, and at the same time, I will show you the questions.
Number 3. Listen again to part of the conversation, then answer the question.
Well, I think it won't be that much of a problem to find 50 people to fill out the questionnaire, will it? I mean, we could do that in one afternoon at the student centre. That actually kind of sounds like fun to me.
You think so? Well, based on feedback from other students in my previous classes, getting 50 students to answer the questionnaire wasn't such a breeze when they tried that.
I have actually seen students filling in surveys at the centre, and I think I'm fairly good at persuading people.
Well, you might get some students to fill out the surveys, but I'm guessing there would be more than a few who won't be happy about you taking up their precious time.
How does the professor seem to feel about giving the surveys to students?
Answer number A says she is not sure the students will understand how to do it. B says she thinks it is unlikely to be the best strategy. C, she believes the student has enough time to do it. D, she is confident that it will be easy. For this one, maybe we will have some differences between answers. First, I want to see your answers, then I will explain. Because usually my students mix up with this question and they provide me with wrong answer usually. Ece, Ayna, Sana, what do you think? What is correct answer for this question? Alican has provided answer A. Ayna says B. Ece says B. Soydan B. So we have possible answer A and possible answer B provided by students. This is what I was expecting actually. I anticipated this situation as it happens always with my students. Let's talk about answer D. She is confident that it will be easy. We understand that definitely no. Professor said it will not be easy, just the opposite. So D is not correct. C says she believes the student has enough time to do it. Just the opposite. She thinks that it will be difficult to find 50 students who can fill out it during the time. So we delete this one as well. We have A and B left. A says she is not sure the students will understand how to do it. And B says she thinks it is unlikely to be the best strategy. If you remember, the professor said preparing a questionnaire is not a bad strategy. And still, she thinks that students should do questionnaire, but not at the school. On the other hand, the student should go and ask some elders at the nursery home or elderly center to fill out the questionnaire. So it can be best strategy or good strategy. There is no problem about strategy. Okay. So strategy is not a problem. She thinks it is unlikely to be the best strategy. Because of the word strategy, I would eliminate this answer and I would choose A. Because the professor says, from my past experience, it is not such a breeze to find 50 students who would volunteer to do it. One more time also, she said sentence something like this. It's not breeze coming from my old experience. And also she said it will be difficult for you to recruit 50 students who agrees on this. So it will be difficult to recruit students was one hint. Another hint, it's not such a breeze. Breeze means when something is very easy. Like breeze is like wind, guys. And it means something is done very easily. Therefore, answer to this question is A and not B. But I have to admit this is kind of difficult question and a lot of students make mistake with this question. Do you understand, guys, why A is correct answer and not B? Or do you want me to explain again? Ece says, I did not get it, but she did not say anything about how it will be held. Sure, I will try to explain again. Answer A is correct because professor says getting 50 students to answer the question was not a breeze. When she was talking about past students, was not a breeze means it was not easy. So she is not sure students will do it. Also, the professor said getting 15 students to answer a question was not a breeze. Okay, I said this. And one more time, she said it will be difficult to recruit 50 students who are willing to do it. We can argue maybe about how to do it. If the question was she is not sure that students will do it, this could be even better answer. If we delete here how to and we just say students will do it, this will be even better answer. I agree with you for this part, but compared to all other answers, B sounds the best. A sounds the best. A is much better than B. B is incorrect because she doesn't say that this is a bad strategy. Still, they agree that student will go and do it at the community center or nursery home with elders. So the strategy of questionnaire itself is good. Now let's see question number 4.
Number 4. Listen again to part of the conversation, then answer the question.
I don't know that I'd feel comfortable with that, or if I could get my partner to agree to do it.
Come on, Brett, don't be so negative. You should try it. You might be surprised about how rewarding it can be, and you might get some unusual and interesting results from the survey. At least more variety than just student responses.
Fair enough. I'm not looking forward to it, and I think it's going to go a lot less smoothly than you do, but I'll try to look on the bright side.
What is the student's attitude about the professor's advice?
This one is easier question, I think, and probably everyone will find the correct answer. A says he doesn't want to do it, but he will try to be positive. B, he thinks it will be better if his partner does it. C, he is very irritated because it will be too difficult. Or D, he finally agrees with the professor that it may be enjoyable. A, B, C, or D? Which one do you think we should say here, guys? Alcan, Ece, Sena, Soydan, what do you think, guys? Which answer is correct? Some students say A, some students say D. Definitely B and C we should eliminate. They are not correct answer. Now let's talk about A and D. Answer D says he finally agrees with the professor that it may be enjoyable. He agrees with the professor, this part is okay. But what does he agree with? He agrees that he will do it and he will try to look on a brighter side. Okay? So brighter side, it doesn't mean that it will be enjoyable, but it means that he will try to be positive. Therefore, correct answer here is A and not D. Positive and look at brighter side, they have same meaning. That's why A is our answer. Thank you Minel, Ece, Alican, Sana, Soydan, Melek and Ayna. You did good job, boys and girls. Very nice. If you don't have any questions about this type of question, then I think we can move to question type number 5. And I will explain what kind of question it is and what they usually ask you to do in that question. Let's see if we have any questions on YouTube comments. Okay, there is nothing, so it means we can continue with next type of question, question type number 5. Question type number 5, guys, is about the whole conversation or whole passage. And these kind of questions ask you usually either multiple choice questions or matching. So it is mixed. There will be some multiple choice questions and there will be also some kind of matching for this kind of question. These questions usually are about the relationship of the topics. They will talk about different things. For example, they will talk about dogs and cats during the conversation, okay? Then you will see some kind of table or graph, and there will be possible answers, and you need to match which one is correct about dog, which one is correct about cat. Okay, so you will do this kind of matching. Also, there can be a multiple choice question with one correct answer, or sometimes maybe with 2 correct answers. Also, you need to pay attention here to the structure. I will write here relationship and organization, because they will also ask you one question about how the passage is organized. I mean, for example, does the professor start with example and then explains theory, or maybe the opposite, the professor gives students some theories and then provides examples about it. So you need to pay attention to the organization of the passage, how it is structured, what is first, what is second, and what is third. Okay, so you need to pay attention to different categories, because there will be one question about some kind of categories, which one is correct about which one. And also please try to catch structure of the conversation or the speech. How does the professor organize the lesson? For example, the professor starts maybe with 2 theories, and at the end of the lesson he proves one of the theories to be true and another one incorrect. Okay, or maybe professor gives some examples and then based on these examples explains some theories. For these kind of questions, it will not be conversation between two people, but usually this kind of question will be asked for lectures. Very important thing for these type of questions is to take good notes. Without notes, you will not be able to answer these questions. Why? Because they will not play it second time. They will not play the parts of the lecture again for you for these kind of questions. And also, when you are taking notes, I think I told you this last lesson as well, always try to organize your notes. Take your notes in organizing or organized way. What I mean, for example, the professor says in the beginning of the lesson, today we will discuss 3 different theories. So, when you hear these 3 different theories, already try 1, 2, and 3 for you. And you already know that the structure is number 1 theory, number 2 theory, and number 3 theory. Okay? Again, when you are taking notes, don't try to write the whole sentences. You will never have time to write the whole sentences. But instead, use the keywords that you understand from the sentence. If you cannot write the word, even you can write short form of the word or use some kind of symbols. For example, if the professor says something about next, instead of writing next, maybe you can just use this thing. This is easier than to write next. Okay, when the professor talks about positive sides of something, you can just use this sign. Or the professor talks about negative things, write this. In TOEFL exam, they never ask you to do gap filling. So, the spelling of the words is not important. You hear a word and you don't really understand this word. You don't know the meaning of the word. It's not a problem. Write it how you heard it, what you think it can be, the spelling of the word. It's not important because when you see the same word in the answers, you will probably be able to match your handwritten word and the answer. For example, I think today we will listen to one lecture and it will be about apposium or posium, and I hear this word. I don't really know how to write posium, apposium, so I will write just something like this, maybe posium. Of course, this is incorrect spelling, but no problem. When I see this word in the answers, I will match and I will understand what they are talking about. One thing that you need to pay attention in listening and taking notes is, of course, the homophones and homonyms and etc. Homophones and homonyms, these are the words which have same pronunciation, different meaning, sometimes same spelling, sometimes different spelling. For example, if you hear there, it can be this one or it can be this one also. So it depends on the content and context of the listening. Or you hear, for example, it's, maybe like this or maybe like this. Or when you understand the person says, I see. I see. It has two meanings. One, to understand something. Second meaning, to kind of look at something. So these two different things. These kind of words we call homonyms and homophones, and you need to pay attention. And if you write, for example, this one, but the speaker said this, still there is no problem, because if you write these, but when you see in the answer this, you will understand that this is the same thing. I mean, of course, the meaning of the words are totally different, but it is just your mistake. You misspelled the word and there is no problem. You will match this with this one. Okay? I think it is time for us now to have a break for 15 minutes. And after 15 minutes, I will be back with you. Please stay with us and get your pen or pencil and a piece of paper ready for note-taking, or if you prefer to take notes on the phone, totally up to you. But definitely you will need to take some notes, so be ready for it. I will be back with you in 15 minutes.
Olduğun yerden hemen kalkman gerek. Adım at ki gerçekleşsin her dilek. Bekliyor seni parlak bir gelecek. Sen ona gittikçe o sana gelecek. Justenglish'le şimdi sen de dile gel. Justenglish'le şimdi sen de dile. Justenglish'le şimdi sen de dile gel. Justenglish'le şimdi sen de dile gel.
A world with a joy and smile, a world where everyone will live by satisfaction and learn to survive in the outside world, Justenglish style. Learn, play, sing and dance, do what you don't see anywhere else. Learn, play, sing and dance, do but do Justenglish style.
Hayat devam ettikçe bitmez bu yarış. Sen de bir dil öğren, macerayla tanış. Hayat devam ettikçe bitmez bu yarış. Sen de bir dil öğren, bu dünyaya karış. Justenglish'le şimdi sen de dile gel. Justenglish'le şimdi sen de dile gel. Justenglish'le şimdi sen de dile gel. Justenglish'le şimdi sen de dile gel.
Knife. Knife. Enthusiastic. Enthusiastic.
Pronunciation.
Enthusiastic.
Enthusiasm. Enthusiastic.
Reci bilmiyorum. Recipe. Recipe. Bir daha. Recipe.
Clark. Pronunciation.
Justenglish'le şimdi sen de dile gel. Olduğun yerden hemen kalkman gerek. Adım at ki gerçekleşsin her dilek. Bekliyor seni parlak bir gelecek. Sen ona gittikçe o sana gelecek. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel.
A world full of joy and smile, a world where everyone won't live by satisfaction and urge to survive in the outside world, Justenglish style. Learn, play, sing and dance, do what you don't see anywhere else. Learn, play, sing and dance, do what do Justenglish style.
Hayat devam ettikçe bitmez bu yarış. Sen de bir dil öğren, macerayla tanış. Hayat devam ettikçe bitmez bu yarış. Sen de bir dil öğren, bu dünyaya karış. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel. Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel.
Knife.
Knife.
Enthusiastic.
Pronunciation.
Enthusiastic.
And enthusiasm. Acoustic.
Reci bilmiyorum.
Recipe.
Recipe.
Bir daha.
Recipe.
Clark.
Clark.
Pronunciation.
Justinglishle şimdi sen de dile gel.
So I'm back with you guys, and now we will do exercise for question type number 5. For question type number 5, I said understanding the relationship and organization, but to be honest, it's more about organization. So let's leave the title as understanding organization of the listening passage. I will play one file for you now, and then I will show you some questions about it. Please take notes, guys. My advice to you.
Listening exercise 5, passage 1, page 193. Questions 1 through 3. Listen to a lecture in a biology class.
Here's a question for you. If you throw a seed on the ground, how do the roots of the seed know to grow down into the ground and the shoot, where the leaves will grow, know to grow up? The answer is tropism. Tropism is the preferential growth of one part of a plant toward or away from a stimulus. Positive tropism is growth toward the stimulus, and negative tropism is, of course, growth away from the stimulus.
So, guys, what is the listening about? What will be discussed in this listening passage? Guys, did you understand what is the listening about? I don't see any answer, so maybe we need to play again because not many people were watching the video, I guess. Let's play again the beginning part.
Passage 1, page 193. Questions 1 through 3. Listen to a lecture in a biology class.
Here's a question for you. If you throw a seed on the ground, how do the roots of the seed know to grow down into the ground and the shoot, where the leaves will grow, know to grow up? The answer is tropism. Tropism is the preferential growth of one part of a plant toward or away from a stimulus. Positive tropism is growth toward the stimulus, and negative tropism is, of course, growth away from the stimulus. I'm going to get...
So Ece is correct, and the lesson is about tropism. They will discuss positive and negative tropism. Now, let's continue listening, and then I will show you the questions.
Into the mechanisms of exactly how this happens on a cellular level in a moment, but let me just begin with some kinds of tropism to illustrate the general concept. To start with, let me make it clear that there are many different kinds of tropism and, as often seems to be the case in science, sometimes different names for the same thing. To simplify the introduction of the concept, though, I'm going to restrict myself initially to 3 kinds of tropism: phototropism, hydrotropism, and geotropism. Okay, let's start with phototropism. Photo means light, so this is when the growth of a plant responds to a light stimulus. For instance, the shoot and leaves of a plant would exhibit positive phototropism, orienting themselves in the direction of a light source. On the other hand, the root emerging from a seed might show negative phototropism, growing away from any light. Okay, so you can imagine this. Let's take a houseplant as an example. When you get it, say as a present for your dorm room from your family, it's nice and even, with leaves on all sides. After a few months, though, you start to notice that the side of the plant near the window seems to be fuller than the other side. It's got more leaves, and your once balanced houseplant looks lopsided or uneven. So what do? You rotate the plant, and after a few weeks it looks even again. But if you leave it, again it starts to be fuller on the side toward the window. Over the course of a few weeks, the leaves orient themselves to the light source, and you have to keep rotating it if you want it to look balanced, right? Okay, now what about geotropism? What do you think this is?
Well, geo means earth, so geotropism must be movement toward the earth.
Yes, growth toward the earth. It's actually uneven growth on different sides of the plant structure that changes the direction of growth, not movement per se. So where would we observe geotropism?
I guess that roots would show geotropism when they grow down.
Right. Or a shoot might exhibit negative geotropism, growing away from gravity. The stimulus in this case is actually gravity, not just the earth. I'm going to show you some pictures of these different kinds of tropism, and in many cases you'll be looking at pea plants. They're popular to experiment on because they germinate quickly, and these different kinds of tropism are easy to see. You'll be seeing some experiments with pea shoots to show negative geotropism and positive phototropism. All you have to do is turn some pots full of pea plants on their sides, and you can watch the pea plants bend and turn upward. In fact, they've been taken into space to see the effects of zero gravity and hydrotropism on plant germination and growth. And so this brings me to hydrotropism. This is the preferential growth toward water. If it's positive hydrotropism, that is. This is again something most associated with roots and easily seen in the pea plant. Yes, is there a question?
Is this how tree roots can tell if there are water pipes nearby and can grow into them and tear them up?
Well, not exactly. In spite of what many people believe, plants can't sense water from a few feet away or through the walls of a pipe. Plant roots don't grow toward pipes and tear them apart because they somehow know there's water inside. They might grow along pipes because they present less resistance than the surrounding soil. Or, if there's any kind of leak that moistens the surrounding soil, then yes, hydrotropism can act to draw the roots of a plant, but only within a few millimeters of the plant roots. Okay, so before we go on to chemicals and cellular mechanisms, are there any questions?
Okay, the listening is over. So, guys, the topic of the speech or the lesson was tropism. How many types of tropisms did the professor explain? How many types of tropism did the professor explain? 1 type, 2, 3, 6. Dilara, Aina, Alijan, and Rana say 3. You are correct, guys. The professor explained positive and negative tropism and gave 3 different categories. Do you remember the names of categories? Blah, blah, blah tropism, blah, blah, blah tropism, and blah, blah, blah tropism. They have different names. Could you catch the names? Aina already gave answer: phototropism, hydrotropism, and geotropism. Dilara and Ece also provided. Very good job, girls. Nice. Good, good, good. I think you will be able to answer the questions. With this information, we should answer questions correctly. Alijan also has correct answer. And Rana. Nice. Question number 1 asks, how does the professor illustrate the concept of phototropism? A. He contrasts it with a description of how hydrotropism functions. B. He uses pictures of pea plants to visually show the students. C. He describes the growth of a houseplant near a window. D. He describes how chemicals in leaves cause plant cells to move. How does he start the lesson and how does he explain the general concept of, sorry, not the general, how does he explain phototropism? Dilara, Ece, Sana, Alican and Ayna think C, houseplant near a window. I heard this one, but also I heard something about pea plants. Why not B? Definitely not A and not D. Why not B, guys? I heard pea plants. Ece, you are correct, and Dilara is also correct. Pea plant was not about this. Good, 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 good. So our answer is definitely C. Nice. By the way, guys, please don't forget to subscribe to our channels on YouTube and Facebook page and Twitter account as well, and like our videos and write good comments to make teachers happy. Next question we have like this. According to the professor, what is the significance of pea plants? A. They are one of the few species that demonstrate all kinds of tropism. B. They have characteristics that make them common to use in research on tropism. C. They are the easiest plants to perform experiments on. Or D. They are only plants that exhibit geotropism in space. Okay, D is not correct. I will help you. Definitely not D. It's not about space, guys. The professor said that these plants have been taken to space, but he did not say that they were taken to space to demonstrate geotropism. Guys, please try to answer the question. Never leave question without answer. Even if you are not sure, it's okay to say something. For example, if you give me wrong answer, no problem, I will explain why it is wrong answer. Okay? So don't be shy or ashamed. Always answer all the questions. There is no problem. We are all learning now. And it's okay to make mistakes. I see some answers from students. B and C. C is not correct, I think, because the professor did not say that it was easy to experiment on these plants, but he said, let me show you the pea plants because, why? Because they have characteristics that we will use in research to tropism. So, correct answer for this one is B. This is my favorite part. Usually I tell students that don't answer questions with your knowledge. Always listen to conversation or the lecture and answer the questions with information in the lesson. But this one if you are good at botanics, you should be able to answer all these questions even without listening. Negative phototropism. Do you remember? Photo is light, negative, so going away from the light. Which one goes away from light? Roots or shoots? Do you remember? Root is inside the ground and shoots is on top of the ground. For example, if we are talking about any kind of plant or flower or anything, the part which is inside the ground, this is root, and the part which is on top of the ground is shoots. Shoots have leaves, okay? The thing where you see leaves, this is shoots. And which one has negative phototropism? Roots or shoots? Which one goes away from light? Because it is negative, so it means away. Root goes away from light or shoots? I see answer from Ece. Do you agree, guys? Ece says roots. Do you agree with her? Dilara also thinks roots. Good. Let's see, maybe we have some answers on Facebook. Girls, you are totally correct. Of course, roots will go away from light. Now, let's say negative geotropism. Geo means earth, ground. Which one has negative geotropism? So goes away from the ground. Roots or shoots? Ece and Ayna say shoots. You are totally correct. Dilara joined them as well. Of course, shoots go away from the ground. And last one, we have got positive hydrotropism. Hydro, it means water. So goes to water. Which one goes to water? Roots or shoots? Goes to water. Ece, Sana, and Dilara said roots. And you are correct, guys. Definitely roots go to water, not shoots. Good job. So not that much difficult. This listening file was okay, I think. Understandable. And we managed to do it well. Maybe we can listen to one more. And we can do one more listening about this. I think this one is interesting. Passage 4 we will listen to. It's about a lecture in psychology class. I can't show the questions, so let me hide them. And we are going to listen to one file. Get ready to take notes.
Passage 4. Page 196. Questions 11 through 14. Listen to part of a lecture in a physiology class.
Now, we've already discussed the stages in the healing of fractures. Again, that term for our purposes today just means broken bones. You've seen the
Sorry guys, I said psychology. I could not read well. Not psychology. It's about physiology. My mistake.
Stages in a general sense. But exactly how the bone heals and how we treat fractures can vary quite a bit depending on the type of fractures. Okay, so what I want to do today is to introduce a limited selection of fracture types. I mean, I haven't chosen these by which ones are the most common, nor do I intend this to be comprehensive. Your textbook is a more complete resource, because there's a lot more information in it than I have time to give here. I'm only going to introduce some fractures, because I want to concentrate on a few different treatments, and these fracture types will work well as examples. Let's start with just a simple fracture. With a simple fracture, the bone is broken, but there might be little damage to the tissue around the bone. Now, to talk about the number of breaks in a bone, we talk about a single, a double, or a multiple break. A single fracture means one break. A double fracture means 2 breaks, and a multiple fracture means more than 2 breaks. So let's start with the treatment of a simple fracture. The treatment for it depends on how much the bone has been displaced from its normal position. If the bone hasn't moved much, then it will just have to be immobilized to make sure it doesn't move around while it's healing. If the bone has moved enough that it will interfere with proper healing and function, then, well, it'll have to be moved back into its original position before immobilizing it. In everyday speech, people say that we set the bone, but doctors talk of reducing the fracture. That is, we reduce the amount by which the bone is out of place. Sometimes these kinds of breaks are not so serious. A break in a small bone, for example. But of course, if the patient is elderly and if it's a long bone in the leg, well, a simple fracture can be anything but. Okay, let's imagine a really common kind of fracture. I want you to envision what happens when someone falls. A person, perhaps your father, might be walking on an uneven sidewalk and stumble, or be crossing an icy parking lot, maybe trip over something in his house. But think about what happens as he goes down. That's right, he throws out his hands to catch himself and keep his head from hitting the ground. When he puts out his hands, all of his weight goes onto his arms, and the radius, that is the long bone in the forearm next to the thumb, this bone is a weak point. So it can break and slide up over or under the wrist bone. This is called the callus fracture. Now, the treatment depends on how much the bone is displaced or moved from where it should be. In some cases, it's relatively minor, so the doctor may not have to reduce the fracture at all, and just put a hard cast on it so it doesn't move. Now, the worst kind of fracture is what is sometimes called a compound fracture. The terminology is very confusing because this sounds like the number of breaks in the bone, doesn't it? But actually, the term does not technically refer to the number of breaks at all, but refers to whether the bone has come through the skin and how much damage has been done. So, I'm going to use the term open fracture. I think that's a much clearer way to refer to it. My point is, if you hear the name compound fracture, it refers to the severity of the injury, and often not directly to the number of breaks in the bone. Okay, so an open fracture is one where the fractured bone does significant tissue damage, and, worst of all, as I said, it penetrates the skin. There are all kinds of potentially harmful bacteria on the skin, and whether the bone goes into the skin or not, this kind of fracture requires significant intervention, usually surgery, to clean out all of the bacteria and remove dead tissue. Basically, extensive procedures to prevent bone infection, which is very difficult to treat. So, as far as seriousness, an open fracture is much more life-threatening than other types of fractures. Alright then, there's one other type of fracture that I want to talk about today, and that's the green stick fracture. A green stick fracture means that the bone bends, and maybe it breaks part of the way, but it doesn't break all the way through. These fractures are mostly found in children, because their bones are much more flexible than adults. Oh, and the name green stick refers to a young green plant that might bend instead of breaking. Now, I see some of you looking concerned about this fracture happening to children, but actually a green stick fracture is usually the least serious type of fracture. This is because the bone isn't broken all the way through. And the ability of children's bones to heal is absolutely astonishing. The bone doesn't have to be moved at all, and it heals quickly and completely if treated. Okay, there's your selection of fractures. Now let's talk about what happens after the patient comes in.
So the listening file is over, and now we can go to questions and answer some of the questions. Ece, I did not say difficult because of the listening. I meant difficult about the questions because some of them cannot be seen. The PDF page is not good for those questions. So we see question number 11. This is first one for this. How does the professor organize the information in the passage? A. By presenting a selection of fractures from least to most serious. B. By presenting some specific fractures in order to introduce various treatments for them. C. By explaining one example from each general class of fractures. Or D. By introducing the healing processes for a variety of fractures. Let's see this one, guys. Which one is correct answer? We have answer from Ece, Ayna, and Minel. They all think answer is B, and you are correct, guys. Answer is definitely B for this. Good job. Next question. Why does the professor discuss the name compound fracture? A. To define it is another name for a multiple fracture. To point out that this is a more accurate medical term than other names used for it. C. To remind students that this is just a casually used name and not a medical term. Or D. To clarify possible confusion around these common terms. Why does the professor discuss the name compound fracture? B and C are incorrect here because the professor does not say that compound fracture is better medical term or more accurate medical term. So we can eliminate B and C. A or D. A says to define it as another name for a multiple fracture. Do you think compound fracture is same with multiple fracture? Definitely A is incorrect because multiple fracture, it refers to number of breaks, but compound fracture does not refer to number of breaks. So compound and multiple are not same. Therefore, our answer is D. Good job, Ayna and Ece, for this question. Question number 13. We have got something like this. Why does the professor mention ways that people might fall? Why? A. To show how children get green stick fractures. B. To indicate the seriousness of fractures that result from falling. C. To illustrate the cause of a very common fracture. Or D. to show why fractures are typically found in elderly people. Why does the professor talk about ways people might fall? A, B, C, or D? Ece says C. Boys and girls, do you agree with Ece? Is C correct? I will help you. The answer is not A because green stick fracture is not about falling. He explained green stick with different comparison. A is incorrect. Let's talk about B. Is it correct or incorrect? B is actually incorrect because the professor does not say that falls relate to seriousness of fractures. Okay? It doesn't matter how you fall to understand the seriousness of the fracture. You can fall in the same way, but one time maybe it will be serious, and another time same way falling. It can be simple. So correct answer here is definitely C. The professor starts a sentence like this. To imagine a really common kind of fracture. So why? To show common fracture. Okay? If you can't understand well, you can listen again to this part and you will be able to hear it. Let's see the last exercise. We need to match. On the left side, we have open fracture, green stick fracture, Cole's fracture, and simple fracture, and we have their seriousness. Very serious, maybe serious or less serious, and less serious. Let's start with open fracture. Which one is correct about open fracture? Open fracture is very serious, less serious, or maybe serious, maybe not. Also, here you need to pay attention to this. This answer has four possible answers. So if you have all four correct answers, you will get 2 points. If you have 3 correct answers, you will get 1 point. If you have 2, 1, or 0 correct answers, you will get 0 points. So you need minimum 3 answers to get a point here. Ece and Dilara said open fracture is very serious, and girls are correct. It is very serious. Let's move to next one, green stick fracture. Is it very serious, maybe serious, or less serious? Green stick. Remember, green stick fracture is something that happens with children a lot. Ece and Ayna and Dilara say less serious, and girls are correct once again. Boys, come on, where are you? I need some boys. Cole's fracture is very serious, maybe or less serious? Cole's fracture is maybe serious or less serious. Thank you, Ece and Dilara, because the professor said in some cases it can be, in some cases it's not. And last one, simple fracture is very serious, maybe serious or less serious. Last one, simple fracture, very serious, maybe or less serious. Professor said two sentences about simple fractures. First, he said simple structures are not serious, but in some cases they can be. So, therefore, we should choose answer maybe. First sentence, professor said less serious, but in some cases it can be more serious. So, it's better to choose maybe serious or less serious, because not 100% of simple fractures are less serious. Okay? I hope you understand question type number 5, and we can move to question type number 6. Last type of question. Question type number 6 is about understanding the implied meaning in the passage. What I mean by implied meaning is that for these kind of questions, you do not have exact answer in the listening passage. You need to listen to the listening passage very well, analyze the information which is given in the passage, and based on the analysis, you should find which one is most correct answer. So you have some information in the passage, analyze this information and what we can imply from this information. So you need to analyze the data given in the passage and make some not make, let's change. For example, if they say in the listening passage, I'm going outside and taking umbrella. And then in possible answers, you see it is raining. Of course, if the person is taking umbrella, we can imply that it is raining outside. Okay, so you do not have exactly same thing in the listening passage. It doesn't say anywhere in the listening passage that it is raining outside, but because of the umbrella, because of taking umbrella, you should understand the implied meaning of umbrella is rain. Or maybe very, very hot outside. Some people like taking umbrella when it's very hot. Or if we are in some Asian countries, they also use it for geishas and etc. As far as I know, it's very popular. So don't think about these ones, but think about the most possible situation, okay? So answers here are not 100%. It is most probably, because it is implied meaning, not 100% answer. 75, 80% possibility or probability should be, okay? They will not repeat conversations for this type of question. Again, when you listen to the full passage, you need to take some notes because they won't repeat the part for the question. I think actually it's very easy to understand these things and to answer questions in this exercise if you have good notes. Zafer says most probably. Yeah, absolutely correct. Which answer is most probably going to happen? Which situation? Let's try to listen to one passage for this kind of question, and then I will show you the questions we can do together.
Listening exercise 6, passage 1, page 203. Questions 1 and 2. Listen to a conversation between an advisor and a student.
All right, so you're thinking of psychology as your major, right?
Yeah, that's what I already decided in high school.
So, before we get into exactly which classes you may want to take this semester, let's talk about placement tests.
What are those?
They're the tests that you can take before you start college to see which classes you should start with, to see if you need to review math or English composition before you get into the classes required for your major.
Oh, I see. So before I take a psychology class, I have to know basic math.
Yes, there's that. But some people are also going to have to take a lot more math classes. For example, like an engineering major. They need to see what level of math they can start at.
Okay, but I took math in high school. Doesn't that count?
Well, since you've been out of high school for a few months, the department needs to see how much you remember. Plus, not every high school program is adequate preparation for college.
So, how long are these tests?
An hour and a half.
Really? Is that the math and the English test? Or is that just the math test?
Each of the placement tests is an hour and a half.
Wow, they're kind of long. Do I really have to take them?
Well, you don't have to take the math test, but it's to your advantage to take it.
Why?
If you don't take the math placement exam, you have to take the math review course before you register for any science courses. It's a semester long.
Oh, but if I pass the placement test, I don't have to take the review course? I can start my psychology courses right away?
Yes, exactly.
So what about the English placement test? If I pass that, can I skip the English courses?
I'm afraid not. Everyone has to take English composition their first year. And the other difference is that the English test isn't optional. You have to take it before you register for any classes.
Oh, then I should probably do that soon.
Yes, you should. Since it's getting close to the beginning of the semester, a lot of people are trying to take them, and it can be difficult to get in.
Do I have to make an appointment?
No, you just need to go down to the testing lab, and they'll try to get you access to one of the computers. But if there are dozens of people there...
Right, I get the picture. So, do I get my score right away?
For the math, you do. For the English, you have to wait a week so they can check your writing and clear you for registration.
I see why you want me to take them soon.
That's part of it. The English test has a wait time for results, and it's more to verify that you have basic skills, so you shouldn't need to study for it. But before you take the math test, you really should do the review problem sets online. You don't want to fail it, and you'd be surprised how much math you can forget, even in a short time.
I doubt I've forgotten that much. But it couldn't hurt to have a look at the review sets. I'll do that before I come down next week. It'd be nice to take the English test today, but I already have something I need to do. I'll just have to pick a day when I have a full 3 hours free.
More, just in case you have to wait. You should also consider taking the Spanish placement test. A year of foreign language is required to graduate, but you can get out of some or...
Düşük pil. Lütfen şarj ediniz.
I have to take a foreign language class, and it will probably be Spanish again, like in high school. But I'm not planning on doing it now.
If you take it soon, before you get too rusty, it's more likely you'll do well enough to place out of a semester or two.
Actually, my high school Spanish was all grammar exercises, and I hardly remember a thing now anyway. I'll just start all over when it comes time.
Okay, so now that that's settled, let's talk about what courses you want to take.
Sorry guys about the charging problem, but the charger for the speaker was not enough for 2 hours. Let's see now the questions. Questions are actually very easy for this conversation. Question number 1. What is implied about the math placement test? A. It is longer and more difficult than the English placement test. B. It is required for all students who register for classes at the university. C. Students usually fail it if they do not study. And D. Not passing it will delay the student's entrance into science classes. Which one is correct for question number 1? A, B, C, or D? Dilara, Ece, and Ayna say D, and it is correct. Let's see question number 2. What is the student most likely going to do? A. Take the English test today and the math test next week. B. Take the English, math, and Spanish placement tests next week. C. Study a little for the math test and take it next week along with the English test. D. Skip the math and Spanish placement test but take English test next week. So now think about English test, what she said about English test, math test, what she said about it, and what she said about Spanish test. Combine this information and which answer gives us all these 3 things? A, B, C, or D? A is incorrect because she said it would be nice to take English test today, but I already have something planned. So English test today is not true. I see answer C or D. D says keep the math and Spanish placement test. This is not correct. She is not going to skip math test. She will skip only Spanish, but math test she will take, not skip. So C is correct. Of course, B is incorrect because she will not take Spanish test. Therefore, C is correct answer here. So guys, do you understand what kind of questions you will see in question number 6, the last type of the question? You need to analyze some data and then based on this data make some inference, infer something or imply something. You need to be very careful with the details because, for example, all these answers A, B, C, D here look like each other a lot. With this, we have finished the listening question types. We have already discussed all 6 types of questions: understanding the main idea, understanding the details, function, organization, and implied meaning. All of them we have learned. Thank you very much for today's lesson. You provided mostly correct answers, like 90% or 80% of the answers you gave were correct. I'm very surprised in a good way. It was very nice. Please watch our lessons and videos, and don't forget to comment and like them. And I wish all of you to stay safe and healthy, first of all, and enjoy the night. At 9 o'clock, there is another lesson. If it is interesting for you, or maybe you have someone at home or your friend who would like to join that class, you can share the information with your friends as well. Tomorrow I have TOEFL class at 2 o'clock. Time has been changed. Tomorrow at 2 o'clock I will do speaking exam questions for TOEFL. So I hope to see you tomorrow. Have a good evening. Bye bye.